Welcome back, friends. I'm continuing the sewing tutorial. Well, actually, I'm doing a sewing, and this is our Ken, where we did his satin turquoise pants, and I am using pattern 5330 Simplicity, and I'm working on this set right here. This one for Ken and this one for Barbie, but Ken has short sleeves and shorts. So I have the material here, a very beautiful and tropical setting, and Barbie's going to be having the same exact fabric. And like you saw the pattern, it's going to be a very fun design. So let's get started. I went ahead and cut my pieces. I like to have my patterns nice and crisp. Not that I want to sell them, but I just like to do that. So I have the top, the back of the top, and look how beautiful this is. This is actually the front side. My goodness, I couldn't tell. This is the front side, or the outside part. And I preset the items with serger already to make this a very quick sewing. And if you have this pattern, or if you don't, maybe you'll be interested to get it. I don't sell patterns like those, but I know that there's other people that do, and I'm sure they would appreciate it if you buy their product. So over here, I know that my pattern is long. If I can show you this again. I wasn't too sure because I didn't have the back cut. I wasn't too sure, so I'm going to be taking that at the end. And my goodness, I gotta be sure that I'm having the correct side on. But the only reason I know that this is the back side is because there's a little bit of white over here, and that's part of the cotton. I'm excited to see how this is going to turn out, quite honestly. And of course, I chose my Julia to be the recipient for my model because I know she's going to look fabulous. So I went ahead and did the serger finish, and what you would do next is just fold it over and get the hem ready on the sleeve. And if you saw it there, I'm going to tell you what I do is I fold it over and I will match to make sure that we are using the same amount. There you go. So that it's even on both arms. And when I sew, I put it to where my foot is going to be right alongside. So that is my ruler and my guide to make sure that when I sew it, it is straight. So see, here's that part and this part. So now that I have that done, we are going to pin this together right at the tip, which would be there. All you need to do is eyeball it and pin it up. And what do you know, I moved my little pin holder because I wanted to have my aesthetics in my sewing machine nice and clean, but I need it there. So what we're going to do over here is cut to ease the fabric to help move it around when we are tugging and pulling. So just a little snipping here is going to help us. And I just can't get over how gorgeous this fabric is. I got it because it has bubblegum pink, of course. It's a vintage fabric. This is fabric. Sometimes I buy vintage clothes, festive clothes, so that I can go ahead and sew something for my dolls. So I am guesstimating here where I need to go. So I need to go a little bit back to cover more fabric. And I am using the pattern. The patterns are not always the best, how should I say? They're not always the best for you, I don't know why, but for sizing, or maybe it's the way that I sew, it just does not work for me. So I am doing this to show you what you need to do when you're sewing to avoid some setbacks when you're sewing. So I put the tip a little bit more on the inside to go and get enough fabric. So the other side should be the same. So let's get started with this and see if this theory works out. So I'm going to pull it a little bit more out. Here's a little tip and here's a little tip. I don't go necessarily straight and match the side because I'm going to need all the room that I can get to cover this sleeve. Okay, so I'm going to take the pin out, and my fabric over there is on a hold, and I'm going to move it up. And I think my son is coming, so let me just pause for a minute. So, well, you're going to hear him, so go ahead. You don't need anything? No. Okay. That was my boy. My firstborn, my first boy. Secondborn. I think I mentioned that my firstborn is a girl, and that is Holly. So here we go. Let's go and see how we do here. So I'm going to finish this up. I know he needs something, but he's such a good son. He doesn't want to interrupt. Okay, so let's see here. It's kind of crooked over here, so we're going to manage this. How much fabric we have left over? We have just short of 1/4 of an inch, and I started by doing it the right way. So let's start on this side, and this is the part where we have a little bit left over, so I am going to do the same thing here. So I'm going to do the same thing here. I'm going to do a little bit less so that the other side has some left over too. So if we do this correct, we're going to have a little bit over on both sides. So let's give it a try. And the hard thing about doing a men's or Ken's shirt is not necessarily the sleeves, but the hard thing is adjusting and putting the collar on the right area. So I measured it, and we are going to start to put the collar about 1/4 of an inch to the edging. So here we go. That's nice. So see how perfect and nice that is? And look at all that extra thread here. Where I put it here. So now it's time to put the collar, and I'm going to ease it up here. And this, I have some vintage pants. I think they're vintage Cologne pants, and they have the beautiful bubblegum pink as well. So this would be nice. So what side do I want this? I want color here. So this, we're going to be facing this up here. I folded it, and I'm putting it right in the middle. And this is the middle right here for all right there. And I went ahead and eased it up, fold it, and we are going to be right here. And I'm going to do that. I want to do that. Actually, I'm going to fold that over. I am massaging it over here to make sure that there is no fabric that bubbles up there. And open this up here. I'm going to have to take a look because I'm not quite sure that it did not bubble there. And I'm holding and turning the collar as I go. And I did not put it how I was sectioning it off there. I'm going to use a little bit more fabric. So let's go at it this way. Oh, look what happened. It moved. It moved right here. That's where I was not sure that it was bubbling up. What happened is that the fabric moved way too much to the side, and it did get sewed, but just barely. So let's do it this way. Oh, I'm about to run out of thread. So let's do it this way. And we are almost done. And this is the part where I told you that I move it along. And I'm going to do the same on the other side. Okay. I have so much thread. And I'm going to put a serger here and in the sleeves so that we have a very good finish. So I only did it on the collar. On the sleeves, I will just cut it and give it a nice clean edge finish. Because this is this is not very, but this is on the thinner side of the cotton, and too much serger is going to bulk it up. So I'm being careful not to get this part where it kind of comes up. And now it is time to sew it together and then fix the side here. So I aligned the hem of the sleeve, and this part here will definitely have serger finish after my recording. And when I list it, you'll see, I'll put a picture of the inside or inside out so that you do see that this part does have the serger. And I am folding it, and I keep this up here. It can fold back down. It will not bother Ken. And we are almost done. I do have to put the buttons, and that is something that I'll do also off of recording. So this video is basically to show you what the difficult parts are, what to look for, and what to do. So our beautiful shirt is taking form. And now this part right here. See how the edges, we are not done. We're going to fold it in, keeping form here, and sew this on right there. And this part we're going to cut out. We don't need it. And I cut it to an angle. And we're going to do the same for the other part. I'm going to fold it just where the end or the beginning of the collar is. I'm going to fold it right there. You see that? So I'm going to go ahead and sew this part too. And that's all I need to do, just that part. Get rid of all of that. So now I'm going to turn it inside out, and that's where we have this little area here. And I'm going to sew this a little bit more because I noticed that it's a little bit loose. And it'll only take a minute. And I will sew it all the way. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing again. Fold it out, and look how nice that looks. We have lime green, Kelly green, turquoise, and this is vintage festive fabric for those Hawaiian shirts. And now what I'm going to do, now that I have that folded, is I'm going to sew on the top, which is going to give it more of a resistance. You don't need to do this, but it's going to be nice for the shirt. I'm only going to sew it up until the tip here. See that? I only sewed it to the tip and here as well. And I'm going to use a serger here right now so that we can finish this off. I might as well because I need to do the hem. So let's look at your model here. I try to do this as fast as I can so that I don't leave you for too long. And I'm going to do the serger on the bottom. And move out this little excess. And what we do now is fold it over. And I'm going to clip it. And do the same for the other side. And then do the hem. So I fold it facing the fabric. And I'm just going to go all the way so I don't lose any time during the clipping and the cutting and readjusting. And what you want to do now is cut this little tip. You don't need this part, and you cut it to a little angle, and you can see more because on this side, because it's green, just cut it just below where you sewed it, because you're going to fold it over too, inside out, and if you leave that corner there, it's going to be too bulky. And now we're going to sew the hem. And there's a little fuzziness here with the serger. And see how long it has taken to do